Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to Spilling the IT. I'm Paul Burke, Social Media Director here at Quest Technology Management, and that is Adam Burke, VP of Partnerships and Sales, and we're here to talk tech, a little show we call Spilling the IT. It's clever because it sounds like spilling the tea, but it's IT.
I had no idea what that was when you came up with the idea, by the way, and you told me that, and you're like, spilling the IT. I didn't realize spilling the tea was a thing, but it's a thing. And now I get the clever pun-ish thing you got going on there. It's good.
Adam, so
it's good.
Full honesty, Adam, let's give credit where credit is due. Your wife came up with it.
What? She did?
Yeah, I didn't come up with it.
Oh, all right. Spilling the IT. Well, there you go.
There you go. So, I mean, I'll take the credit, but I don't feel comfortable taking the credit.
That's probably a wise decision.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So, how's your weekend? Adam? Or weekend, I should say. Week's beginning. How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Solid weekend. Had some birthday parties, had some kids' activities, had some minor chaos going on, but it was all good. Got a couple IRs kicked off last week, so our security team's been pretty busy. So been checking in on those. But all good. All is going well. So how about you? Good weekend?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the comedian who does material about how happy adults are when they say, "I didn't do anything," because that is how my weekend was. I didn't do anything, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
It was a great weekend. I loved it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah,
right on.
It was very nice. I did. So here's the thing, Adam, and this segues into our topic today. I did watch Army of the Dead, and while today we are not going to be talking about zombies, it did make me think, okay, if everything collapses, if everything goes bad, like what survives? And then I was, and then because technology, I was thinking about like, well, if there was a cybersecurity just chaos apocalypse, what survives in that situation? And then I was like, boom, we have our topic for today.
Like it. I saw that. I watched that one too, and I'm a huge zombie fan. I like the couple of the angles they went on that one. And it's always good to see new twists on the zombie flicks. And yeah, no, it was an interesting take on it for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, thought today we could talk about cybersecurity. Our graphic says cybersecurity for beginners. That's what it's titled. And while this is definitely things that beginners can implement to help their cybersecurity, this is also, what did you call it? You said a go bag?
Oh, a go bag. Yeah, you got to have a go bag. So if you don't know what a go bag is, and you're not with weird preppers or survivalists or anything like that, a go bag is basically go bag is basically in the event of a disaster. You grab your bag and you go. That's about it. It's going to be your survival pack list, what your basics are, some type of currency, maybe a couple gold coins, firearms, ammo, basic food, heat, something to keep you warm and not, freezing to death, that type of stuff. It's a go bag. If you got to go survive in, minimalist style, that's your go bag.
So will gold coins help for cybersecurity?
No, Bitcoins maybe. So maybe if you have a Bitcoin wallet ready to go, just in case you get in trouble.
Okay.
Because most people aren't paying ransomware in gold bullion. But
so first cybersecurity hot tip: gold coins probably won't help you unless your cybersecurity expert you hire is Mario, Luigi, or maybe Toad.
Yeah. Well, it's an angle, but yeah, no, it's most of the bad actors take payment in Bitcoin for the most part. Yeah, that's typically what helps them pay the bills, if you will.
Got it. But
yeah,
we do have a list of 6 or 5 things that security control basics that you'd like to kind of dive into and talk about today, right?
Yeah, well, so we always we jump into technology, but I think it's good just to have a high level overview for the folks who are trying to understand. Okay, in the event something goes wrong, in the event something goes sideways, what are things? What are the basic 5 things that every company needs to have in place
Mm-hmm.
to understand what's going on, um, and and survive, right? So we saw some breaches happen last week and the previous weeks. We saw, the bad actors promise to never do it again. I love that one. The guys who were involved in the Colonial hack. I think they were raised to some awareness of some people who are probably going to go take them out, and they're like, no, we're not going to do it anymore. Thanks for the $5 million. We're shutting down operations. 100%. We're out. Like,
They learned
yeah.
their lesson, Adam. They learned their lesson like a Saturday morning TV show.
Yeah, it'd be like Osama bin Laden or someone in Al Qaeda kind of being like, "Yep, hey, our bad, our bad. We promise not to do it again. Please don't send SEAL Team 6 to put to it." And yeah, that's probably they're going to get a knock on the door. But for basic companies,
Mm-hmm.
for organizations that are just trying to operate out there, the 5 things that we want to kind of talk about that everyone needs to talk about from a security control basics are: first, monitoring detection, right? Second is protecting the users and the data. Third is patching, configurations and security updates. 4 is your backup and DR. And 5 is basic governance and user awareness training, right?
Well, that's all it is for today's Spilling the IT. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody.
Glad we could help you out. Good luck sifting through all those 5.
Yeah, so start at the top, right? So we talk about monitoring and detection. And what does that really mean? Like, last week we talked about zero trust. Monitoring and detection is really understanding what you have in your environment, who's accessing it, and what's leaving it, right? So how are people going to potentially get in, and how are people going to potentially get data out, right? So you hear things like SIEM, like security monitoring and logging services. Those types of things are basically going to watch your environment, and then the logging is going to give you the breadcrumbs of what happens when. When we get involved in an incident response engagement, when you're looking for a root cause of an outage or a patient zero, if you will, right? So back to our zombie theme, right? Patient zero was pretty important in Army of the Dead because patient zero created a certain type of zombies, and then the secondary zombies turned into another type of zombies. So I know we're nerding out on the zombie tiering strategy here, but patient zero mattered, and those logged events basically tell you who gets bit by who, and where did this person access the environment, and what did they do, or what actions were taken. So those logs are a great breadcrumb trail as far as what happened when.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always having logging turned on, and then also understanding what's leaving your environment. So data loss prevention, all those types of things are very, very important to have your monitoring and detection services enabled. So if a business leader out there is watching this, or anybody's out there watching this from a high level, and they want to understand, what's really important, you got to have your monitoring, and you got to have the ability to detect the threat if you're going to protect the environment at all. So,
Nice.
any
Makes
thoughts on
sense.
that, Paul, or my amazing zombie correlation there to Army of the Dead?
I'm not gonna lie, Adam. It's a genius. It's a genius correlation. It's seamless, airtight. I get it. No, actually, jokes aside, totally makes sense. I think that's a really good way of approaching it and explaining it. Because, I mean, as I'm looking through this, there's so many. I'm getting a little confused, so that helps. That helps me a lot, honestly. So that was great.
Good.
Very good.
Good.
Number
Well,
2. What were you gonna say? Did you want to
no,
jump
I
to
was
number
just gonna
2?
say, yeah, number 2 is, protecting and users and data. And back to, we talked a little bit about zero trust last week, and keeping in line with our basic go bag mentality of what basics do you need to have in place. We talk about this all the time, but protecting your end users and your data is a lot to do with like our cyber defense suite offering, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have endpoint protection. Everybody uses, laptops, desktops, phones, to access the corporate environment. So how are you securing that endpoint? Most of the incident responses and the breaches and the containment efforts that we get involved in, they all usually have something to do with the endpoint. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So securing that endpoint And then the application that everybody uses, right? Every user and a lot of corporate data traverses across email. Everybody uses email, right? So how are you securing your email? So you got your endpoints, your email, and then you have the internet. Everyone's going online. Everyone's going to check out different websites. Everyone's going to surf the web, if you will. It's kind of an old term. You say surf the web. I don't think I've said that in a while. It's a different
I haven't said it. I think
kind
people
of
saying that
got.
now are saying "get off my lawn," and
Yeah.
things were better in the old days.
Yeah, I don't think I should say that, but I did say surf the web. Yeah, I think Google it. Yeah. Anyways, so that type of security around DNS and securing where people can go, and then enforcing privileges. So privileged access. I think privilege is another trigger word right now, but privileged access in corporate environments. That as far as, hey, when you're accessing something, you want to make sure that user has the least privilege available to get their job done, and you don't want them to you don't want to give them any additional ability to move within the environment as you can. So that's protecting your end users while at the same time protecting your data. It's all the basics we always talk about, but again, for any leadership out there who's interested in knowing more about security control basics, you got to monitor what you have going on in your environment, and then you have to protect your users and your data. And there are building blocks, there are nuggets that get put together to achieve those first two bullet points. Yeah.
Nice. And for those
Yeah.
looking for other ways to say surf the internet, I have found nothing of value right now. Navigate the internet. Nobody says that. Connect, browse the content of the net. All right. This website has failed me completely. Browse the content of the net. Nobody says that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely a bot or a Russian hacker or something like that if someone's speaking that way to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess I was
English
just
not as a first language.
all right, back to serious things. Number 3, patching, configurations, and security updates.
Yeah, so people refer to this one as kind of like the cyber hygiene one, right? So how are you keeping your environment operational, clean, and up to date, right? This is the mowing your lawn, making your bed, cleaning your room aspect of the basics, which is managing your security updates, making sure that your configurations are up to date. You have your certificates enabled on all your web assets, things like that, and then the fun DMZ, VLAN configurations, and those types of services. So those security updates are critical. Patching is just the basic thing that everybody's got to do. You have to keep your systems and your applications up to date. So again, just think of number 3, right? So we're monitoring what we have, we're protecting our users and the data that we're using, and then how are we maintaining kind of that cyber hygiene of the environment? How are we patching the systems that need to get patched? How are we updating the certificates that need to get updated? And how are we constantly managing those configurations? That's just the basic blocking and tackling. Nothing too crazy there. We offer services that help people automate their patching, right? So we do patch management as a service. We also help organizations drive the platforms that they've already invested in. So there's a lot of different platforms out there that can help push out patches, and that can help notify you if you don't have something patched. So we do something for a lot of our clients that come on board. We offer what's called a cybersecurity workshop. And these workshops are fantastic. And oftentimes we'll go into those workshops with a basic summary of that environment's cyber hygiene that's presented to the outside world. So everybody's got their stuff that no one sees, that's inside the walls, if you will. We typically get to that during the workshop. But every company presents itself online. Every company out there is some way exposed to the internet. And you can, or we can, and a lot of people can, but we can know a decent amount about how that environment looks and how that environment presents to potential business partners, potential customers. People are starting to assess other organizations based on their security and how they present online. It's back we all kind of heard the horror stories of social media, right? You go into a job interview nowadays, and it's hard to pretend you didn't post something, or you didn't say something, or you didn't throw that picture out of spring break 2000 whenever. That's a kind of a known fear out there for people who are young and dumb on social media. The same kind of just actions of your company online from a credit rating and from a trust score are presented out there all the time too. So that IT hygiene, it's not something you can hide from potential business partners or anything like that. It's a known entity. People can see, how well you're controlling your environment. So
nice. Yeah, and watch out. I lived some pretty wild spring break days myself, spending on the internet, playing video games in internet cafes. I've lived a life, Adam. I've lived a life.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 4, backups in DR.
Yeah, so replicating your data, backing it up, having multiple copies, having an immutable copy, and then understanding how you're going to recover. That's just basics, right? So so we start at the top. You're monitoring and detecting what's going on. You're protecting your end users and your data. You're keeping your environment clean and operational. Now you have how do you have a backup plan, right? This is your escape vehicle. This is how are you going to get out of that dangerous situation? How are you going to rebuild? How are you going to recover in the event that the house burns down, or the earthquake happens, or the flood happens? This is your contingency plan. This is very, very key to it. This is your food supply. This is, if we're going through the zombie apocalypse here, this is your backup to the back. This is your plan B if your first option fails, right? So you've been doing the monitoring, you've been doing the protecting, you've been doing the patching.
This is your hot air balloon off the mountaintop, that as the zombies are approaching up the mountain, you're like, what do we do? Plan B, hot air balloon.
Great. Yeah, great. We have a slow moving horde of death that just slowly moves towards you. Let's get in a slow moving, balloon full of hot air and escape at 3 miles an hour. That's fantastic. Really?
Yeah.
You go to hot air balloon, that's where your head goes when the zombie apocalypse horde is chasing you down?
Let's be honest, Adam. I'm going to be the first one to go during the zombie apocalypse, all right? So everybody else, good luck to you.
First rule of zombie apocalypse, according to Zombieland or whatever, was remember cardio, Paul. Cardio. It's important.
Well,
cardio.
Better start. And yeah, you're right. I guess a hot air balloon would be pretty. Yeah, you could probably track that pretty easily.
Yeah, they just kind of move underneath you. This is the pile that's waiting for you to. Yeah. But be quiet.
My goal would be to land in a fort before it lands in an open plateau.
Yeah.
But then again, more plateaus and meadows than there are forts.
Yeah. Yep. That'd be a tough one. So backup in DR, again, is your contingency plan around rebuilding, with your systems, right? So we get involved with a lot of organizations that are in some form of an incident. And a common strategy is, one of the first things you want to evaluate is your data backed up? Do you have it securely backed up? Do you have it backed up off-site? Do you have an immutable copy of it? Do you have protected storage? How is that environment secured from a data standpoint? That's what you're going to rebuild from. So that's critical when you're talking about your basics. So to rehash, you're monitoring and seeing what's going on. You're protecting your end users and your data. You're doing the patching and keeping your environment clean and operational. And then in the event that those 3 things still fail, you have backup and you have replicated copies of your environment. So you have somewhere to fall back to and rebuild from.
Nice. Number 5, governance user awareness training.
Yeah, so this is kind of twofold here. Governance is like, okay, in the event something happens, and what frameworks are we building to help secure our environment, right? So, do you have cybersecurity, policy insurance, right? In the event something goes wrong, and your business is impacted, do you have insurance in place to help recoup the lost revenue, right? So basic, just governance of the company from a risk management standpoint. And then, unfortunately, no one likes to talk about it, but in the event you do have an incident, do you have an IR plan? A lot of people talk about disaster recovery plans. A lot of people talk about, hey, if we have an earthquake or if we have a fire, or if you have a prolonged power outage, California, or if you have any other types of like security threats out there, what is your IR plan? How are you going to recover from that? And we saw Texas go through this. They had that huge freeze or whatever, and a lot of organizations went down, lost power. You see California rolling blackouts. That power grid is a little getting iffy. Do you have generators, right? How is that secured? Same concept as your DR.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's an incident that oftentimes is more security related. So how are you managing that? And then your end user awareness training. Those are simple things to do about letting your staff, letting your employees, letting everybody know, hey, these threats are real, and here's what a phishing email looks like. You can automate that training. You can do, quarterly updates to it. A lot of good options out there. We have a simple one that we added on to our cyber defense suite. I think it's about $1 per user per month that we add on to our cyber defense suite. It's a great bolt-on, gives them some automated training, lets end users be aware of phishing and spear phishing campaigns from an email standpoint, and kind of just make sure that your people and your organization knows what to do when something goes wrong, right? It's the basics, like you got kids, your house catches on fire, does everybody know where to meet up, right? Does everybody know how they're going to escape? Does everybody know what they're going to do? It's really just, it's not that much more complicated than that. It's in the event something happens, you have a plan and people are aware of it.
And I think you mentioned a great thing about the phishing, that you're like, hey, for $1, we bolt on this per user. Basically, you're not alone. So if this seems overwhelming, and there are a lot of things on this list, you are not alone in trying to navigate this. You can always reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you. I think that's important, because sometimes looking at a list like this, you're like, well, I'll cross my fingers, or
Yeah.
I'll trust a hot air balloon. But you're like, those are not going to work. So if you need help, you can always reach out to us.
No, that's a great point. And there's 5 focus areas. You're never done with any of them, but you're always in some point of managing it, right? So whether you're monitoring or detecting everything you should be, I don't know, but maybe there's an area to improve. Are you protecting your end users? Could be, but maybe there's a couple of tweaks to improve. We love doing workshops. We love helping people understand where they're at today. And then, these are the kind of the, security controls and basics that are in place that can really help any organization wherever they're at and what they're doing right now.
Yeah. Great. And just a reminder, our phone number is in the description. You can always reach us as well on our website at questsys.com. So, Adam, final part of the show. What have you watched? What's worth watching? What's checking out? Let the people know.
Well, I think you opened with it. We opened with it, the idea of Army of the Dead. It's horribly violent and relatively inappropriate, but it was a good one. And that's why I snuck in Army of the Dead late night on Saturday night this weekend. So good times.
Nice. I watched yesterday Those Who Wish Me Dead. I believe that's the name of it, with Angelina Jolie. She plays a smoke jumper, and it's great. I really enjoyed it. Again, violent and dark, but great. So we both came at you with violent and dark. Okay, let's listen. One step back. I would also suggest this. Let's balance this with some lightheartedness. Nailed It came out recently with a new season called Double Trouble, where 2 contestants per team. So it's family members working together to make a cake, which is always a delight. So if you like cake or family squabbles, watch Nailed It.
We actually watched an episode of Nailed It with the girls over the weekend, and we used to watch Sugar Rush, where they're like really, really good at it. And then when you watch Nailed It, where they're really horrible at it. Great. And it's actually it's a little more fun to watch them completely fail at the challenges. Just like completely. Like, nailed it. Like, nope.
And
Nope.
the host, Nicole Byer, listen, if she comes through wherever you're living, go see her live. She is so funny. I
Oh,
had a
really?
chance. Oh yeah, I had a chance to watch her live. So good, such a great comedian.
Oh, you can make fun of me some more. I got some Tom Segura tickets for when he's coming to Arizona. I remember you mocked me for my Instagram post
I've
about
never
Tom
heard you
Segura.
talk about
So,
him. I've never heard you talk. Tom Segura? I've never heard of him. You've never
okay,
heard you
yeah,
talk
I
about
get it.
him.
Yep. All right, fine. Yep. He's coming to Arizona. Yeah.
No, that's
Anyway,
awesome. That'll be a
yeah,
great show. That'll be fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Looking forward to it.
All
So,
right. Well, we'll see you next week, Monday, 11 o'clock. Glad you guys are here. Hope you have an amazing week. Adam, anything else?
nope. Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for coming.